Good morning.
John, good morning. Welcome to the Belfast International Homecoming. We've always had a great connection with Western New York and with Buffalo, thanks to Senator Tim Kennedy, who is an ambassador for Belfast and a great advocate and ally for Belfast. And I thank him for putting together this particular engagement this year as well. You're the founder and the managing director, CEO, or president of Fireside. Why don't you tell us what that is? And we are particularly interested because you've I don't want to say a lifetime in business, but you've at least 3 decades in business of all types, and now you're perhaps the leader in green manufacturing in Western New York. So tell us a little bit about Fireside.
Yeah, Martin, listen, first of all, thank you for bringing us to this conference, and thank you to Belfast for having us on and giving us the chance to talk about our company. Fireside Parente is Latin for green parent, and it really is a holding company that has 2 distinct operating divisions that provide renewable energy for non-traditional applications. So Green Machine is our portable energy systems that go primarily on construction, industrial, and other portable energy requirements that would typically be serviced by diesel engines or propane or other fuel sources. And Volta Energy Products, which makes stationary point-of-use storage products. So it's a pack system that goes behind the meter and is really designed to manage peak load, provide instantaneous backup, and really give our electrical distribution system more capacity, more resiliency, and make it more reliable for the end user. So those are the 2 product lines, and they reside under Fireside Parente.
And you're in the great city of Buffalo, and Buffalo and Belfast share many similarities. 100 years ago, we were one of the greatest cities of the empire, a huge shipyard, biggest rope works in the world, and so on and so forth. And then our industry has probably been in decline for 30 or 40 years. We still have some very strong engineering and industrial companies, including Spirit or Aerospace. But Buffalo also has been in decline in that period. Why is this green initiative and these new green-collar jobs, why are they based in Buffalo? And maybe you'd put in context a little bit about Buffalo's, the rise of Buffalo, the fall of Buffalo, and hopefully now the rise again.
So Martin, I think Buffalo really kind of followed the same trajectory as Belfast, right? We were an essentially industrial superpower at the turn of the century. And one of the fastest, actually the fastest growing city in the United States between roughly 1920 and 1930. Buffalo had great transportation networks, shipping, had fresh water with the Great Lakes, had abundant power that was coming online at Niagara Falls. So it really had all of the infrastructure that industry needed in order to grow, expand, and provide products around the world, much like Belfast. And I like to say that, all things old are new again, right? So as we transition from these technologies being, what I would call niche, to these technologies going into the wider economy and becoming more product and customer based, we have to treat these technologies with business principles, right? We have to provide better products that cost less and are attractive to a customer, not because they are green, but because they're better products. And the fact that they're green is a great add-on, and it's a great way to transition from older technologies to newer technologies. But if we don't provide a better product, nobody's going to buy it. And if nobody buys it, we're never going to make this transition.
And I'm going to ask you about the Green Machine, which is one of your companies. But just before that, behind you is an example of beautiful brickwork, not unfamiliar to those of us in Belfast who've been to some of the old mills, including Conway Mill on the Falls Road, where I'm from, which has been retrofitted and converted and revived. But before I ask you about Green Machine, you are a leader in bringing back the huge industrial spaces of Buffalo. I think it'll be a while before all the former factories are used again. But tell us just a little bit about where you're sitting, because I think that's also important context as well.
So the office I'm in right now was a boiler, 1917. It was built for a company called Shelcoff Chemical, and it was a company that merged with National Aniline to become Allied Chemical, which in the 50s and 60s was the largest chemical company in the world. And really, the interesting thing about Allied Chemical was it was formed by the Allies. That's the reason it was called Allied Chemical. And it was built in the U.S. to create supply chain to counter what was going on in Germany after the First World War, because all of chemical production was organized and really came out of Germany. And the Allies, including Ireland and the UK and Europe and the rest, understood that they had to have supply chain and these raw materials if they were going to be able to survive in the world. So much like we're talking about supply chain issues in China today, this plant was initially built here in the U.S. in South Buffalo to address repatriating supply chain and supply chemicals.
But it's not a chemical factory today.
No, so today it is a 30-acre athletic complex and entertainment venue. There's been about $65 million of investment between the cleanup of the site and the redevelopment of it. Our good friend, Senator Kennedy, this is not only, this is very near and dear to him because he lives about maybe 12 blocks from this location. And outside of leading the state of New York, he really is Buffalo's greatest ambassador. He is focused on making sure that all of Buffalo sees the rebirth that's going on around the country and around the world.
So now we've established where you are, and I've had the good fortune of being in South Buffalo, where the street names are bilingual, Irish and English, by the way, in the Irish ward. But I want to then throw out two other statistics to you, because in 2008, you bought the old GM factory, the motor company factory, which is 980,000 square feet, I think, or 900,000 square feet. Which was a bit audacious, to say the least. And now the Green Machine, your company, is the largest manufacturer of battery-powered vehicles for construction in the world. But you're going to put that in context for us. So tell us about, the decision 13 years ago to buy an abandoned automobile factory, and what you're trying to do now with the Green Machine.
So Martin, much like Belfast, right? All of these older industrial complexes have a large power supply, large natural gas, good access to water. They have significant infrastructure for transportation, delivery, and shipping surrounding them. So when you look at a business, right, you want to make sure that you can optimize the dollars you spend to the product you're going to develop. And if you don't have to spend those dollars on infrastructure and supply and services to get to a new site, you can put more dollars towards the actual project. And that really is the driver for most brownfield redevelopment, is you can leverage all of the investment that not only the industry made, but the community made around that property. Because you think about it, we have churches and baseball diamonds and community groups and housing and streets and sewers and water lines that have been invested in over a 100-year period by the community. Well, if we can put that piece of property back into service, you add more units of consumption to that existing infrastructure, and you bring down the cost for everybody around you and everybody who's in that community. So the American Axle, the GM plant purchase, was really my kind of view of that, economic benefit. And I'll tell you, what was very interesting is that National Grid, who's a UK-based company and very prominent in the larger conference that you're a part of today, aside from having a very significant power supply to that site, had a view 10 years ago to electrifying construction services. And they came to, we found each other because we knew each other here in this region, and we started this journey with them. And it's something that, was very forward-looking for a utility. It was something that was very difficult for them to do financially because it didn't fit into a box. But it really showed the leadership and the vision that they had in understanding that we'd have to build better products if this transition was ever going to occur.
And how is Green Machine leading that transition, and where did you get your first order to create a battery-powered excavator or a vehicle for construction?
So our first PO was from National Grid, and National Grid issued a PO based on a very early model of the equipment. Matter of fact, it was the first model. And their chairman at the time had come to Buffalo from the UK, and he took part in a demonstration. And that demonstration led to a contractual agreement to develop the technology. And Martin, like any technology, it took a lot of field failures to get the technology to the point where it would succeed. But fast forward over the last 10 years, and we've got north of 250,000 hours of field runtime on our PAC systems. There's some 300 machines working across all construction disciplines in the U.S. and in Canada today. Now, nobody really tracks this as an industry yet because it's so new, but we have more machines working in the field every day with customers that own the machines than any other manufacturer in the world. So it tells you how new this industry is. The fact that 300 plus machines makes you the largest OEM, but I think it also tells you that this can be done. And these machines are more capable. They create less noise. They obviously create no emissions. They're far less expensive to operate, and they're just a better product. And really, that's what National Grid was driving to, is we need to build better products, and we need to give customers something that they want to adopt from an economic standpoint, and then have the green benefit on top of that.
So you're a Tesla for construction sites.
We are, and it's an interesting comparison. Elon Musk went through a very rough road to get to where he was, and I'm understanding how rough that road was as we go through this.
And why can you do that? What's your secret sauce? Why is Green Machine and Veride Parente able to do this better than other people? Is it because you have the first mover advantage, or is it because of the way you make the batteries, or because these vehicles can really withstand the battering they get on construction sites?
So, Martin, it is all of those things that you just listed, right? I think we're the leader today because we combine traditional manufacturing, which is metal bending and cutting and welding and mechanical services, with very high-tech electronic innovation. So we have a PhD from MIT that leads our battery technology. We have a PhD physicist from the University of Colorado, Chief Technology Officer. But we also have seasoned mechanics who've been with me for 30 years, and welders and fabricators, and traditional manufacturing talent. And the secret sauce is when you bring those two disciplines together, you get a better product, right? You don't just get something that's technologically advanced, but fails in the field or doesn't provide what a construction customer wants. So we really drove towards a product solution and not a green solution. Now that product solution is infinitely green, right? It has no emissions, it offsets massive amounts of carbon, and it displaces fossil fuel energy sources, but it does it in an economically sustainable way.
Well, look, John, to finish, you're here because you've shown us how to use abandoned workspaces, and there's a lot of empty or derelict properties in Belfast that could be used for this. You're here because you've shown us that former industrial superpowers can come back in the green transition. You're here because you've shown us that the innovation, and there's lots of innovation in Belfast, can be married to work in these factories and creating green-collar jobs. So my final question is, where Buffalo has gone, there's really no reason why Belfast can't go there as well, is there?
Martin, there's not. And I made a little bit of a joke about everything that's old is new again. Our industrial cycles are cycles, right? They start and finish, and then they start again. And the industrial cities across the globe that led this world in the early 1900s are really best poised to lead the world through this next century, because we need to make actual products, right? We're not just making chips and things in the ether world that fly around in the cloud. If we're going to transition our world's economy to a renewable place, we have to build physical products that get used every day. And that's what our regions do, right? We're manufacturers, we're business people, we're innovators. So taking that technology and applying it to what we've known for 100 years is exciting, and I think it's the best statement of renewability, because if we can take existing communities that have the infrastructure and the manufacturing space and revitalize those, what better way to develop renewable technology than to do it on space that already exists and not mow down fields and rainforests and everything else to get there.
Okay, well look, Jon, thanks for giving up part of your morning to be with us and make this bridge between Buffalo and Belfast, which is so important to our Belfast International Homecoming, to make it live again today. Could our audience here give Jon a round of applause? We have in the room, we have the room a representative of our quarries, who are probably the biggest users of large-scale machinery in this part of the world. And when we can visit our quarries here, which of course are famed globally, and see these battery-powered vehicles in use, then it certainly will be a very clearly a new day for all of us. So thank you for being with us. I look forward to visiting Buffalo again. It looks like a beautiful day there this morning, and give my regards to Senator Kennedy. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you, Martin.
Thank you, Jon.